Hi folks, welcome to Chapter 6, Organizing and Outlining. Before we begin, just take a second to reflect on what's filling your bucket today, what's draining it, and allow yourself to clear your mind so that you're ready to learn. This chapter, we're going to talk all about selecting topics and formulating different purposes for speaking. We're going to talk about organization, connecting your speech and your points together, and then creating that preparation and speaking outline. So I would love for you to take a second to think about, what do we organize in our lives? How do we organize them? And maybe what do we wish was more organized? Public speaking is all about organizing a clear and concise message so that it reaches the appropriate audience. So what does that look like? Well, I really like this quote that says, "Good design is making something intelligible and memorable. Great design is making something memorable and meaningful." And I think subtle ways of organization, of clarity, of repetition of thought can help our audiences to understand and retain our message, because we want them to go beyond just listening to the words we're saying, but rather we want them to process the information that we're creating together. And so when we develop a speech, you want to start with a clear topic. And when it comes to public speaking and picking topics, please pick what interests you. Pick something that is meaningful to you, maybe even something you have some pre-existing knowledge or experience or a curiosity about. You also want to think about the rhetorical situation. What is the purpose of the speaking event, whether it's for class, for a professional setting, but you need to know the purpose, and then you can start to choose how you construct that message. We also want to talk about narrowing down your topic so that it's effective in the time limits and different constraints, and how to meet the audience where they're at as well. Okay, so there's so many different things to think about when selecting a topic. I really like this list here. Again, thinking about what you care about, what your beliefs and your attitudes are, and when you know what you value, you're able to craft a more engaging and enticing information or message. There's a general and a specific purpose statements. General is that easy as pie format. It's persuading, inspiring, celebrating, informing, entertaining. But your specific thesis or claim statement is about expressing a topic and the actions that it will take to get there. Now, in public speaking, it's a little bit different than writing an essay for, let's say, a lit analysis paper. You want to be very clear and very direct with your subpoints. And so at the end of my speech, the zoning commission will understand that locating business in box turtle habitats is a poor choice with a range of negative consequences. Okay, if I was at a zoning commission and it was part of my job to work for the conservation district and to advocate for box turtles, I would be explaining what the situation is, how there are certain choices that are poor or harmful, and then I would talk about the range of negative consequences. So breaking down that claim or that thesis statement that way indicates exactly what I'm going to outline in my speech. Then I'm going to say it in more detail, and then I'm going to review that at the end of my speech as well. Now, there's several different ways to organize your speech. One is chronological, topical, spatial, comparative, problem solution, and causal. So what does that look like? Well, I've got lots of examples for you in these blue boxes that you can take a look at. Chronological, though, is arranged by time. This is usually to describe a historical event or something that happens first, second, third. And so you can see with this speech about Oprah, it's going to be about her early life, her career, and then her post-career. Topical can be a little more specific. It's about the development of separate but connected ideas. This is often used by businesses and newspapers when we're giving information about the news. One time I had a student do a topical speech about different types of tea. So each of the three main points, typically in any speech there are three main points because that's what the audience can remember, but they talked about three different types of tea, and that was the topical arrangement. Spatial is a physicality. It could be geographical. It could be moving from north to south, left to right, bottom to top. And so describing that, you can see that this outline talks about a campus and the four different quadrants of that campus. Comparison is comparing two things. We may compare cultures, transportation, two different types of coffee. You might be trying to persuade someone why something is better than the other, and so you can see that comparison. Problem solution is what it sounds like. There is a problem that we need to establish, and let's talk about the actions taken to get there. Cause and effect is a little bit different because something happens, this is what happens. So vaccine creation deters diseases would be an example of cause and effect. And so looking at that, you might want to connect to your main points. Now, there are transitional words or signposts that indicate that a transition is coming. First, second, third, next, and finally, those are good examples of signposts. Posts. Then your transitional statements, these are more detailed connecting idea to idea and previewing states what you're going to talk about. Now, there are two different types of outline. One is a preparation outline, one is a speaking outline. You'll note that in our course, your preparation outline needs to be written in complete sentences. That is every word you intend to say that is fully fleshed out, developed ideas on paper. Your speaking outline, however, is your note cards. It is much shorter. It is minimal words, just like I have 25 words on a note card for your speech. It's just the gist of what you need to remember from your preparation outline to deliver your speech. You write the preparation outline. It's like practicing for the distance run before you go run the 5K. Now, how do we create an outline? Everything needs to have a balance. In MLA format, if you have an A, you need a B. If you have a 1, you need a 2. Just like you have 2 pairs of shoes, everything needs to have a pair. Your outline is a full scope and context of the speech. It judges whether things are balanced. One of the reasons why we write this out, not only to practice our writing, but also to make sure that everything is coherent and logically organized. And it also helps us plan our speech, and it brings together those major elements. The speaking outline, however, what you're actually going to use on your note cards is incredibly brief, only has a few keywords, and it only includes essential statistics and quotes. Usually it's 25 words or less on a note card. The purpose is for the speaker to remember what to say, improve delivery, and think about extemporaneous speaking. Remember that a good speech is like a pencil. It has to have a point. You want it to be sharp and direct and ready for your audience to be able to communicate. All right, give a shout out to someone today and make sure that you are making clear points with your speeches.